The town of Bristol lost I'm sorry. Town of Bristol lost a treasure recently with passing Barbara Greenwood. And I thought it was very appropriate to ask her family to come tonight to dedicate tonight's meeting and the Pledge of Allegiance in her memory. And we'll follow that with a moment of silence, and then if anybody wants to say anything, I would be happy to entertain public comments. I know I'll say a few words. So having said that, Michelle, would you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll ask the folks remain standing, please, for a moment of silence in memory of Barbara Greenwood. Thank you very much. So I always call Barbara the mayor of Bristol because that's how I thought about her, not only just as in terms of what she thought about the community. I remember. I also called her my campaign manager because, and the godmother, because she was always sort of pulling these strings behind the scenes because she knew everyone and everything that was happening in this town. And I can't begin to talk about, I would do her a disservice to talk about the things that she had done in the town of Bristol before I came, which was extensive. But for almost 30 years now, I've known her to be involved in everything. She's touched all the projects that the town has done, that the library has done, that the community center has done, and so many lives in the community. I just really feel fortunate to have known Barbara for the small amount of time that I knew her, and I'm going to miss her a lot. I really am. But the town is a much better place for having had Barbara for all those years. So those are my comments. If anyone else has any other board members has any other things to say, I would open it to that.
I'll see you.
Yeah.
I can personally say Barbara's the reason I'm here. Barbara came to me probably, 7, 8 years ago, even as recently as a couple of years ago, and called me up one day and said, "You're running for budget committee." Barbara here, since already past the deadline. She said, "Nope. We're doing a write-in campaign, and we're going to write you in for budget committee."
Sounds just like her.
So that was 2 years ago, and then it became this, and the past couple of years, almost weekly I've kind of looked forward to a call from Barbara. I bet you if I look right now, I still have voicemails from her. So I will miss those calls. I can't even begin to summarize how much she's done for the community and meant for the community, and what will live on that she's been a part of. And just going back to having my mom work with her at the elementary school, so it's she always had an ability to really see the good in people and see to bring the good out of people as well. Not only see the good, but to bring it out of them. And
Just came to mind that I think every one of us seated here is here because Barbara didn't say, you are gonna do this. And you'll do it again because you are gonna do it. Whatever she said.
I was not planning on doing this in the past couple of years. She's been after me, and
You
Here I
didn't
am.
tell her no.
I did no. Yeah, no.
You just did what she told you to do.
Exactly.
The other thing that struck me in listening is the resemblance between her and Wink.
Yes.
Because you think about all the people that Wink mentored through the years, and he would remember, I know the Molten Borough Rec Director always talks about how she wouldn't say Wink for years, but he would know the stats of her basketball team she was coaching at any given time. Barb could remember everybody's name, what they were doing, what their grandchildren's name were, and that is just such a gift to be able to do that. And
But she doesn't get into your business.
Never happened.
That's wonderful.
You were fortunate, I called her Madam Mayor and I got taken out of the will.
I will say that she might not have been born here, but from the moment she stepped foot here, she loved this town and its people. She was a Bristol girl.
Yeah, she always told me that.
I would echo what Scott said, and Melissa, I'm certainly here because I was asked to do this,
Instructed.
mainly because of her building, as somebody said to me, her building,
Mhm.
the public safety building.
Right.
But I'll say how kind she was about other people. She never spoke to me badly about anyone else.
No.
Always saying, how's your wife? She's such a wonderful person. How are the kids? And just knowing everybody's name and really wanting to know how everybody was doing. Just a kind heart, just such a nice kind heart.
Christina?
Well, I'll start out, but if I can't finish. So, she took over being my mom when my mom passed away, along with another woman. So I have a couple of moms. So she called me every week to check in on me. And when I told her I was thinking about this, instead of saying you're crazy like other people did, she said, do it, just do it. So along with everybody else, I would say she's part of the reason I'm here as well. So, but you knew exactly where you stood with her. And she was one of the most encouraging and inspiring people I've ever met, so. And she loved my Cassandra.
Yes, she did.
So, she loved Jamie, but Cassandra, she said, that girl is special. I'm like, special? But she did, so I know it's gonna be different. We're not having her call. A select board meeting, I'm like, Barbara's calling me.
It's something you need to know.
So,
Yeah, I think my first interaction with Mrs. Greenwood was during Santa's Village. I was a pack leader for Cub Scouts probably about 10 years ago. And you know how young boys are. So we had a booth and the boys started roaming around the building. She pulled me aside. Listen, you gotta get them in line. You can't have them running around. We'll take care of that.
Sounds it.
Yeah.
I was talking about Barbara with someone recently, and he goes, "Are you talking about that little?" I said, "Yeah, Barbara." He says, "I'm scared to death of that woman."
Were we all?
he said, "Yeah," and he was telling me the story about where Phil was talking about coaching something, and somebody said, "Well, you need to go talk to Barbara," and he did. And he said, "Well, I'm supposed to come talk to you about," and she. And she was like, "Well, do it or not do it," you know? And correcting his grammar.
Oh, sure.
She was big on that.
But yeah, it was just the funniest conversation to hear. But yeah, so, and I know that everything is still raw and fresh, and it's a pleasure just a real pleasure to have you folks here tonight.
Thank you for inviting us.
And don't
And
feel
thinking
like
of my mom that way.
don't feel like you have to stay for the whole meeting. Although, but thank you all for coming, and we just wanted to do something. I know there'll be a memorial, and
Yes.
the town will come out. But did you want to talk about that, just so anybody who's watching or looking at this would see when and where?
Sure, it's gonna be from 1 to 4 on the 28th of January, which is a Sunday.
Yeah.
And then at 4 o'clock, we're going into a celebration of life, right there at the Old Town Hall. Barbara loved that building. She really did. She used to play basketball there in high school. Yeah, a lot of you didn't know that, but they played basketball there before they had gymnasium or anything.
Yeah.
Yep, she loved that building. So it's very appropriate that we have her visitation and service there.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay.
And then
Hopefully nobody gets towed on that day.
We'll do everything we can to make sure that.
I was gonna say that's still sore.
Town could get a little crowded.
Yes.
Parking.
Okay. All right, did you have anything
Oh,
else?
I was gonna say the school's closed that day, so we could certainly use the
Yeah, it's a
school
Sunday.
parking.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You might have to do middle school too. Have a
That
shuttle
might
or
be a
something.
little far away, but.
Anybody in really good shape will have to park at the middle school,
Right.
everybody else.
Yeah, definitely.
Although Barbara was one to organize rides.
Yes,
so
she was.
She was.
Maybe someone will just ride in circles, bringing folks up, but we'll get that figured out. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
I don't zip my jacket. Cold up there.
At some point, I stopped and I had a picture. I'm looking for names.
Yeah, she said she's in Florida.
Lucy O'Kee is a, see right, she probably knows someone.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for coming.
Well, no, and this is a generation above you.
Little I do, I still have a voice from the department.
Kevin.
Bye, Chris.
Hi, Colleen.
That's good.
So Michelle's best friend. My ex-husband's best friend is all that family. So we all kind of hung out forever. And we didn't realize it till we did the dedication here with Barbara, and I'm like, why are you here?
Okay, so,
I would make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public meeting indefinitely, as it may adversely affect the reputation of any person other than a member of this board or render a proposed action effective.
Second.
I heard Les first, so that's a second by Les. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that's 5-0. All right, let me pull the agenda back up.
Whoops, sorry.
Making a motion to approve the non-public and public meetings, public meeting minutes from January 4th, 2024.
Second?
I have a fix. We caught this today. Let me just motion, Scott second. If you look at page 3, 4, I think it looks like page 5. There are no page numbers, but it starts at the top with the Newfound Area School District SB2 meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, sorry. It is correct in your file.
Okay.
I will have Deb fix it back. So when Deb heard us talking about the petition warrant article, she thought, wait, this is the town. This isn't, this is the
School
school.
district.
So I'll have Deb return that back, and then those minutes should be fine.
Okay.
Can I withdraw my motion?
No, you're fine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
You're okay to go ahead.
keep my motion.
No changes.
No changes,
No.
as written. You did. All right, yes, Carol seconded.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think
Scott
it was
did.
Scott, but.
Scott did? All right.
We all said it.
All right.
I wrote down Scott, so.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that's unanimous, I believe. And then the non-public and public, the public meeting minutes of December 21.
So moved.
To accept.
I'll second.
Second by Scott. Any questions or comments on those minutes?
Just because we have a couple of minute takers that are training, can we just make sure that we say our names a little bit better?
Yep.
But the person who's training as a backup tonight has never done this meeting
Okay,
before.
yep, so that motion was made by Rob and was seconded by Scott. I'll try to do better at that. Thank you. All right, hearing no comments or questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that is 5-0. And then the consent agenda, please.
Make a motion to pass the consent agenda for January 18th, 2024. Accounts payable, payment manifest dated 12/31/23. Accounts payable, payment manifest dated 1/4/24. Accounts payable, payment manifest dated 1/11/24, 2023 billings. Accounts payable, payment manifest dated 1/11/24, 2024 billings. Accounts payable, payment manifest dated 1/18/24, 2023 billings. Accounts payable, payment manifest dated 1/18/24, 2024 billings. Payroll payment manifest dated 1/18/24. Updated current use application for map lot 228-006, 228-007, 228-009, and 228-019. Updated current use application for map lot 220-015. Disabled exemption for map lot 219-013 in the amount of $30,000. Land use change tax map for lot 220008 in the amount of $5,000.
Motion made by Les, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Carol. Any questions or concerns or anything that somebody wants to take out? Okay, having heard none, all those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstentions, that is 5-0.
We have to do manifest different from 23 to 24, and so you may have a couple more manifests like that, where you'll have two for the same dates. But bills were supposed to be submitted by Friday, but we always have a few stragglers, so we'll try to close it up as soon as possible.
Okay, let's talk elections.
Hot seat.
Hot seat.
I thought you called her Foxy.
Foxy.
Okay, that's kind of easy one.
Hello, Rayma.
Well, hello, how are you?
I am good.
Like your vest.
I'm sorry?
I like your vest.
Thank you. So we tested the machine last night with the sample ballots and all that, and everything went well. Both memory cards worked just the way they were supposed to, so everything
This
was
is
all
our
set.
very old machine,
Our
correct?
very old machine, yes.
The one that's on this last
So we're all set for Tuesday. Highway's going in tomorrow and setting everything up, and Cheryl will probably be going up tomorrow, either myself or Cheryl, but she has a day off, but she may come in because we need to test the tabulator for handicapped people. So
Okay.
that's gonna get tested tomorrow because I don't wanna wait till Monday in case there's something wrong with it and try to send it to Concord and get it back and all that, so. We've never had a problem with it, so I don't think there's gonna be one tomorrow, but you just never know. So I am here to find out if all of you are gonna be at the election on Tuesday.
There's no election Tuesday.
So I
Exactly.
will. I do have I'll just take my lunch or whatever. I have a conference call that I have to be on at noon,
Okay,
but I am available all day otherwise.
Carol?
I'm good all day.
pretty much in the same boat as Sean. I got a couple things I'll have to do for work over there, but nothing that'll.
But you'll be there most of the day?
Yeah, I may have to pop in and out.
I should be available unless something pops up, but I don't have any scheduled events currently.
Okay. So we don't need to have somebody get, I think we'll be fine. As long as we have at least 3 selectmen there at all times.
Right.
We're all right, because
Worst case scenario, I might need to run out for a couple hours and be back, but I'll be back by 5 at the latest, so.
because we will have an inspection from the state.
Yep.
So we just need to make sure we have 3 selectmen there.
I can be there 8 to 10, 10 to 11, I just have to go to a meeting at the center, and then at 6 I have to go to the budget meeting, but I'll be there the rest, and I'll come back after the budget to count.
Okay.
And
Sure.
Paul,
Thank you.
Egan said he'd come back if needed to.
Sure, between all of us, we can make sure
Yeah.
3 are there at all times.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think we're,
I think we'll have I think we'll have quite a few write-ins. I had talked to Ned, I was gonna have more than 3 teams, but he felt we should just do 3 teams. So that's what we're doing.
2, 3 what? I didn't hear you.
3 teams
Oh, thank
for
you.
ballot clerks coming in,
Yep.
and then we'll have, we've already got the tally sheets set up, so we're all set for write-ins.
What time do you want me to arrive? 7:30?
7:30, 7:45, 8:45's fine, really.
Yeah, I'll probably come right after I drop my daughter off at school.
I'm sorry?
Probably come right after I drop Hayden off at school, so just before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as long as it doesn't snow, Trevor will be here to help. Even if it snows, they'll send Trevor, because we've got quite a bit of stuff down here that has to get up there. So Trevor always meets me here about 7. So we should be all
Do you need
set.
coffee picked up or anything?
Sorry,
Do you need coffee or anything picked up?
Cheryl's gonna pick that up. She's
What
gonna
are
pick
the
up
actual polling?
coffee and donuts or donut holes or both.
8 to
It
7.
starts at 8, it goes to 7.
We were able to fix, so the supervisors of the checklist also have logins on these 3 of these laptops. 2 of them are gonna be needed for the budget committee, so that I've talked to Wendy Dugan already. They're gonna use them during the day, and then they should be fine with just using one. They'll have one and they'll have one of their own, but we'll need to have the other 2 brought back for budget committee.
Everything else is up there that we always have up there, so I think we're all set.
Question.
I think we may need to get some toilet paper and paper towels.
Yeah, we have to check that door still, it's on my list, and we ordered,
Right.
fuel, because we only had half a tank. Are we parking here or no? Are we parking?
We're gonna have
The
the
church.
employees park at the church.
Okay, because we haven't sent a notice out, so I'll send it out.
Are you sending that out to the
Yeah.
employees? Okay.
Us too, across the street? the church.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
it's the easiest to
Yeah.
clear,
Yeah.
leaves this open.
Sure.
The budget committee, when they come in at 6, there won't be parking at the church, probably. So are you okay with them coming and parking? Certain people should be able to park here, there's a
It's pretty
couple.
busy, that's a busy time.
I was just gonna say, between 6 and 7 is a
Probably
busy
at
time.
that point, park at the school.
There's 2 that
2 that will
Yeah,
have to
have
have
been
parked
parked.
in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, which is reasonable.
but I can email them and let them know that,
To the extent possible, if they could.
Did we get an arrangement for transportation?
no. We talked about.
I went to, Beano's downtown, went up to Beach Street, I went up to Riverview, and I stopped at what used to be Cardigan Apartments for absentee ballots today. So, we hadn't done that for a while, and since this is a big year, I decided to start it again after what had happened before. I just stopped it, but we're starting it again this year, and the people really appreciate it.
We had talked about doing like a shuttle back and forth.
That's what I'm talking about.
I know it's not gonna snow, but it's still January.
I will eat crow. I couldn't call anywhere to ask. I didn't have time, and I probably should have let you know that I didn't have time, so.
What were you asking for? I didn't hear it.
A shuttle.
Hmm?
A shuttle of some sort from,
Yeah.
Rent a minivan or
Yeah.
something, yeah.
The only thing with that is, you know, you might get one person and you take them up and you might not get anyone for 2 or 3 hours. I mean, the golf carts were great when we could use those a year, but
Yeah.
because they didn't, you know, they didn't take up a lot of space, people could ride up.
And really all you need, well, you kind of need 2 people doing, you need
you
the
have.
person driving and then another person at town hall that could say, hey, come back and pick these people up.
Right, and that's what when we had that, when we had the golf carts, I had 3, I think, golf carts, and I had 6 people taking care of them, so.
Too late?
They can't do golf carts because they can't go on the sidewalk, and it's not big enough anyway, and they can't go up the road.
So that's why I was thinking if you rented a minivan, there's an officer there that can stop traffic for the people in and out.
Yeah,
We had talked about that. Too late to do that.
May not be.
Yeah, why is it?
Who's driving? And we had that conversation too.
Well, that's, yeah, you have to, be nice to get a volunteer. But yeah, although you also have insurance concerns if the town's renting the vehicle too.
Right, we have to pay for the insurance for the vehicle if we were renting it.
So there would probably have to be
We
a
don't
town
have-
employee driving the vehicle or
We
one
don't
of
have a
us.
budget line.
Well, probably one of us wouldn't work if we're gonna be short, for the 3 of us to be there. That's probably not a great idea. Why couldn't we put a town employee in there?
we can.
We can, right? Is it
You
just
could
2?
put
You
a
don't want
town
to man
employee
that.
in, but we don't have a budget either, so I have to figure out where we would pay for rentals for it. What?
We're talking about a rental.
Sure, we'll find $200.
Yeah.
Just so you know too, I have called the school to try to make an appointment with the superintendent. I haven't heard back from him yet, but I have called, and if I don't, hear in a few days, I'll call again, but.
Are any of the cruisers,
What's that?
are any of the cruisers available?
Probably.
It's tight.
Yeah, but some of those other, the bigger one. Is they all tight in the back seat?
Yeah, well, the back problem, but if there's a cage in the back, forget it. And then the front seat, there's still a lot of stuff in the front seat that like
Oh no, we wouldn't put it in the front seat, it would have to be in the back.
I don't think that would be a good option.
You can move 2 people, right?
Oh, then you can take pictures.
What about the water sewer truck? The new truck they have, the little blue one.
Well, if someone can't walk up to the town hall,
No,
they
it's
probably
a
can't
Ranger.
It's a
Oh,
Ranger.
oh,
So
okay.
it's
It's a
not too bad.
Ranger.
We could
I
have a
could-
step stool or something
Yeah.
if we need.
I mean, you only could fit one, you could probably fit 2 in,
I think
Yeah.
I don't know if they're bucket seats though.
if you had a minivan though, I think people would be more apt to use it. It's easier to get in and out of.
Yep.
I think people would be more apt to use it and then you'd just be going back and forth basically.
I will tomorrow. If I can't get the minivan for Tuesday, then, I can look into the Ranger.
Yeah.
Because that does sit a little lower, it's not as,
I can tell you right now.
Fire chief's car?
no.
No room in Tahoe?
No, the Tahoe isn't gonna have any room, no,
Yeah.
but the other truck might, but that's higher off the
It's
ground.
very difficult to get in and out of the back of that too.
Yeah, is the Ranger, it's not an extra cab, I can't remember, I think it's just a regular, yeah. Trying to think, I'm looking through vehicles in my head.
What date is that? That is the
23rd.
23rd.
A lot of people don't know that there is 2 handicap spots up there.
Right.
And that's what when, people say what it, how it is trying to walk up there. I totally agree with him. But I do tell him too that there are 2 handicap spots.
I did post it on this, I did say there's handicap parking at the historic town hall and other parking is located at the town office building.
Can we put a sign up
Yeah.
to that effect out in the parking
Yeah,
lot?
we have we have the
Yeah.
signboards, we can make a sign for it.
And let's make sure that the ramp is,
They did,
okay.
we, next year, not now, we'll have to talk about the ramp.
Yeah,
We replaced it, this will be the 3rd time, but I think we need to move it out and we need to cover it.
yeah.
Because
It's
snow came off and unloaded and broke part of some of the railings, but they've taken care of that.
Yeah.
Can we contact First Student and see if they can supply a driver in one of their minivans? 'Cause they have those 2 minivans in the
Yeah.
lot. I mean, that would take care of the driving part
Mhm.
too and covered.
That would be easy. That would be really easy, nice.
Are you gonna have, if this happens, are you gonna have it for all day from like 8 to 7?
Or you would have to.
well, that'd be the idea, but depending on what they need those smaller vans for, if it's,
Right.
there may be a couple of windows where then it wouldn't be available.
Wouldn't be
Right, or if we hire if we put a town employee in the vehicle, we might need two shifts,
Mhm.
2 different people.
It'd be nice if we could still vote at the Marion Center.
I know.
That was
The other good place would be the dollar whatever store over by
Yeah.
Hannaford. That would be perfect. It's a nice big building, nice big parking, flat.
Maybe for March they'll rent it to us for a day.
Did
I'm
you
sorry?
find one?
Maybe they would rent it to us for a day in March.
Too late now because of
Yeah, too late
the,
now.
Yeah, I wondered that too. I mean, if,
Did we come to a conclusion?
Well, give me 1 second.
He's still looking for the rental.
Well, I kept their hours are weird. It's 7-passenger minivan, $188 for 2 days. 2 days. You want to pick it up the night before,
yeah.
return it the following day.
Which company is that?
That's Enterprise out of
They
Tilton.
require a $300 deposit usually too.
Yeah.
Because I rented one to go to New York, so, but you'll get it back, but usually, but.
Yeah, that's they offer a minivan and that's it. So.
All right. We'll look into all that.
Because there is an enterprise pickup right in Plymouth.
Oh, is there one in Plymouth
There's
too?
one in Plymouth, that's
Yeah,
where I
right
picked
next
up
to
the
the-
one I used.
Common man.
Okay. Oh, it didn't even show that.
But I don't know,
Look over here in Tilton.
they may not have a minivan in Plymouth,
Yeah.
but
All right.
I think we talked about this last time, we should check if our town insurance covers our town employee for doing that. If we're renting a minivan from someone
Well, yeah.
else.
we'd have to pay for we'd have to purchase their insurance probably from the rental
Yeah, we
for
have
the
to check.
vehicle, but.
I mean liability, I'm not talking about damage to the vehicle.
Yeah, you definitely want to check out prices.
Let's see how many other things we can get Christine to do.
Right. Delegate.
Be careful.
I'm gonna need that insurance because I'm gonna.
I was just
I'm
gonna
doing a
volunteer
rollback.
to drive part of the day, but, I have a training at noon, so. But after, I will volunteer to drive part of the day, cause depends on, I'm sure that we can get a police officer.
Yeah, I'm sure we can rotate.
Yeah.
One of us sitting down as long as
Yeah.
there's 3 of us there.
Pull a gin
I have
in the
a-
middle of the street.
I have the name of a gentleman that wants to help out on election day with whatever he can. So I mean, that's,
That's
What is-
the problem. That's
what
going
is
to be the
Julian's-
insurance
right,
liability.
I know.
What is
Yeah.
Julian's minivan? What is Julian's minivan?
I know, I thought of that. Yeah. She's
No,
used,
she's
We'll put in a warrant article for one
had a
next year.
problem, had an accident.
Okay.
Thanks. I think it's something that the voters will appreciate, because it's the biggest complaint on election day is parking.
yep.
So,
A woman today that I went up to have, so they could, she blasted me with it, and I said, you're not telling me anything I haven't heard before. We've been working on this for a long time, and there's just no place.
So we could theoretically rotate that vehicle to the school then too, here in the school.
if we had to.
Just keep,
Yeah.
Well, the school,
I mean,
they
I,
won't be able to park it, they won't be able to park at the school during the day.
right,
There's school during the day, November 23rd. So they'd be able to park there.
And the problem with
Yeah.
that is then you have to drive all the way up down North Main Street and around.
we're gonna change the
They-
one way, right? I thought.
For the day.
For the day.
If
We'll push it up, we'll push it up 100 feet.
You could go up Cedar Street to come back to the town.
yeah, they could go up Winter Street, down Spruce Street,
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah, you could, I said
Or
Cedar, it's
still.
actually not Cedar, is it? Sorry.
Oh,
But anyway.
all right, well, we'll work on that.
Okay. I think that's it, as long as I know you're all gonna be there.
If we are able
We
to do
are.
that, Christina, could you? put
Barbara
some
has
follow-up?
made sure that we're getting lunch on Tuesday,
Yeah,
so,
we will. I will try
I think
to
everything's
resolve some of it tomorrow.
good,
Good, thank you very
I just
much.
all right,
haven't been able to, so-
thank you. I'll
Thanks
see you
very much.
Tuesday.
Yep.
All right, so we have a sewer waiver request.
I was gonna say, do you wanna, save that and move to the next item?
Sure.
Um,
Okay. So we're looking at our first review of the Bristol Community Power Electric Aggregation Plan.
There's two there, 'cause, you know, I gave you another copy of the plan itself, so the little one, go with the little one, 85.
This one? Okay.
Yeah.
The plan, I emailed you the plan, but it's also in your folders as well.
Seven?
Seven, yes, number 7.
You wanna just click on this little guy down here?
This person?
That one, yep.
Sure.
So I put together a couple of summary slides. For the person taking notes, I'm Paul Bemis, I'm the chair of the Bristol Energy Committee. And I have submitted the first draft of the Bristol Community Power Plan to join the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire. So this is a set of summary slides I put together in the last 30 minutes.
That's time to do it.
So why don't you go ahead and just go through them. Not anything here that's going to surprise you. You should be able to just page down with the little arrow key. There you go.
Sorry. It wasn't, the arrow wasn't working.
Okay. So the goals here are to, I'm sorry, can you see? Goals here are to save energy, of course, that's the primary one, but also to promote and encourage renewable power generation, improve resiliency, and expand choices. The choices we're interested in eventually are time of use rates, sometimes called time varying rates. This is the idea of having lower cost electricity at some time of the day than the other. Typically that's at night, so you have lower power at night. So if you wanted to do things that you would normally do during the day at night, you can save some money that way. That's not there yet, but it looks like it will be there. Also, we're interested in local energy storage. If you were to put those two things together, it becomes a big cost saver because you can charge the battery when the rates are low and then use it during the times of high peak. So that combination has proven to be quite popular, particularly if you were to put together with solar. If you put a solar array together with a battery and time varying rates, you have yourself a pretty efficient little system, including the opportunity to store excess energy that, because during the sunshine you always get more than you need, a place to put it so you can use it when the sun is not shining. There's also regional collaboration we're interested in, working with other communities. Today I had the first call that I've begun to have with other communities. So there's a New Hampshire coalition of town energy people, managers. So today we had 8 people on a call talking about common interests, things like municipal solar, community power, and there seems to be an interest in the towns working together to share best practices and to share materials, and to share information. So that's some of the rules. Yeah, go ahead. So this community power plan that you have a copy of was created under RSA 53E. It will serve as a default for Eversource customers on an opt-out basis. So if you remember, the way this will work, if you're Eversource, is that you'll have the opportunity to opt out, but if you don't, then you'll be part of this program. And it will offer a lower cost. It's guaranteed. They guarantee they'll always offer a lower cost than the default rate from Eversource, which they continue to do. And a customer can switch back and forth in and out of the program on a monthly basis without any penalty. There's no commitment to stay, and you can switch back out if you choose to. There is no cost to the town. It is a self-funded nonprofit organization. It will require a warrant article for us to pass in March, so the voters will weigh in on this. And that article has not been written yet. I'm in the process of drafting.
I already wrote it.
Oh.
I took it from
You're
your.
way ahead of me.
I took it from, we had to have it on the warrant article, so I took it from your,
Good.
your
Thank you.
samples, sorry.
Eversource will continue to do the billing, and they're responsible for, of course, distribution, poles and wires, and they're responsible for everything they normally do. The only thing that happens really is on the bill, instead of the default rate, it is the community power rate, and that's essentially how it works. Much like you're buying, for a period of time, I bought power from Direct Energy. So same thing, it just shows up as a different line item on your bill. We, as our organization, Community Power of Bristol, will become a member of the Community Power Coalition New Hampshire. You would select, as a select board, you would select someone to represent the town to participate in those meetings, member meetings. I'm willing to do that if you would like me to do it. I've been involved with this organization and watched it evolve anyway, so I do know them. Does not require any financial commitment on the part of the town, and you authorize town administrator to work with Bristol Community Power on your behalf. But the Bristol Select Board has the authorization and the jurisdiction over this program. Go ahead. Public meetings are required, 2 of them. One we had in November on the 16th. We had 15 people maybe there. Christina was there. Had a fairly good discussion, and no real opposition questions about how it works. Lots of questions and discussion. Andrew Hatch was there, who you met here once before, and he helped answer questions as well. I did the presentation. There's an overview of the program on the website. I did get that put in place. So the material we presented at the library, I did an audio annotation of it and produced it and put it on the town website. So if you go to the town website under news, there's now the same presentation that was delivered in the library with me speaking over the material.
We added it to the, did we add it to the news? Yeah, and we added it to the Energy Committee page as well.
Great.
So it's there,
So thank you, Kay, for doing that.
What time Saturday? What time in February? Sorry.
It's at 6 o'clock.
Is that at the library too?
Yes, it is.
I'll make sure I get that posted as well.
Is it ever a possibility that that rate? So like it says program will not move forward unless default power rate is lower than Eversource. Let's say we vote this in 3 years from now. The rate ends up being higher than Eversource's. Will it automatically default back to Eversource?
I don't think it'll automatically default. You would have to take an action to opt out of it individually. But
So you'd have to opt out individually,
You'd
but
have to.
is that even possible that it would?
No. They assure that that's one of their tenets, is that they'll stay below the default rate for Eversource.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to have a lot of problem, to be honest, Rob, because there's more people joining this than are actually going to be default on Eversource. So when I went to the meetings this spring where Eversource was there, they were talking about how they purchased the default rate, and they do it based on the aggregate load that they have. And the aggregate load that they have is declining because community power is picking them up.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll have much trouble, and I think they'd do it anyway. Remember, they're a nonprofit, so they have a little bit more wiggle room than, say, Eversource. I think they assure you in the program that they'll be below it.
Do you know if, so let's say you get your bill from Eversource. does it display what the rate is and also in comparison to the Eversource rate?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
It shows you the Eversource rate for, on one side there, and then, because there's the supply and demand. So the Eversource rate is usually similar to
So I guess my question would be,
like the,
how does the consumer know that there's still, whether they want to opt out as, so they can see the comparison on the rate on a monthly basis?
It's a good question, Rob. What they seem to be saying is they'll always be below it, and they'll surely be able to assure you that they'll be below it. However, the purchasing periods tend to be different for these different power suppliers. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? Because they buy in a window of time.
Sure.
So there could be a period where it overlaps. But I don't believe the bill will have the default rate listed and then the outlet rate listed, because it would be a little confusing. But on the other hand, you can opt out. I mean, and representatives should keep an eye on this and inform people that this is happening, and bang the floor if it ever drops below the Eversource rate.
Yeah.
I suppose that's probably the best way to handle it. Keep an eye on it. Have someone keep an eye on it.
Yeah. It personally won't affect me. I'm on co-op right now. I'm just kind of throwing the question out there as representing
I get it.
everyone else.
Yeah, and I think you will be able to participate. I just don't know exactly how yet. But you would be someone who would opt in.
Okay. Yeah.
Paul,
Yes.
I think you said guarantee and assure, that they would guarantee it would be lower and assure it would be lower, which are
Right.
not the same thing.
That's true.
What, do you know which it is specifically or not for sure?
Well, guarantee is a pretty specific word.
Yeah,
I think that they are saying in all their documentation that they will maintain a rate below Eversource. I didn't see the word guarantee, to be honest, Garrett. I think they have a little more flexibility because they're a nonprofit, and they're putting money aside such that if they have to fund it a little bit, to be below it, they'll do it. So they're already building that reserve.
Okay.
They set it aside to do that.
I imagine that's probably a question that we could have answered on the 20th.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Notification will be done through mail 30 days in advance. Eversource customers will have to opt out, mentioned that. Non-Eversource customers like co-op would have to opt in. If you have a default supplier, if you're Direct Energy, for example, you would have to opt in. Fixed rate will be listed there. And again, the program will not move forward unless the default power rate is lower than Eversource default rate. They make that statement several times throughout their documentation. And when I press them on it, they say, well, look, we'll use our reserve funds to ensure that it would be below it if the window overlaps.
Where do those reserve funds come from?
Well, remember, they're a nonprofit. So instead of paying to shareholders, they're building a little bit of reserve. They only have 3 people in the organization for right now as employees, 3 or 4 people. So they're very low overhead, trying to keep the cost out of it, and they're building a reserve fund to be able to handle this kind of situation. That's how. Yep. Okay. I didn't know this data. Now this is already, we're starting to get data that we didn't know before. This came from Eversource. I was never able to get the load data for our town. They wouldn't share it. But because of the law, they now are beginning to share it. So we're total about 35,000 megawatt hours of usage in our town. That's our town's usage. That's kind of an interesting number for a couple different reasons. For one thing, look at the commercial number.
Yeah.
Do you suppose Freudenberg's in that number? I mean, it should be there, right? But I thought that number would be bigger. But then, it's 10% of the total, so not quite. But
And you think it would be more?
you thought it might be more or not? Yeah, I thought it would be more.
So,
Yeah.
I thought it would be more.
Interesting.
it's not like they're generating any of their own power anymore.
No, they're not, and they're a big consumer, and they're running, I think they run 24 hours. Do they have second shift and third shift? I don't know.
are they on Eversource? And
I believe they run Eversource. I mean, this is the first time I've seen the data, and this data came from, community power people, because they were the ones who requested it on our behalf, and they're getting it. But this gives us now at least an opportunity to say, okay, well, here's our number. What can we do to try to get it down? I mean, you can't make a change unless you can measure it, right? So now we have a measurement. So now we can say, well, what do we do to try to move it down if we can in terms of consumption? So that's
So when you say reducing that, you're talking about storage.
For example, or solar. I mean, we have a solar array now, that's reducing our consumption. Did any of you see the article? I did write an article with Bristol Buzz about the wastewater treatment facility solar array. So that's ahead of projection in terms of savings. Not much, but a little. I mean, we're doing better than we had forecasted. It wasn't us, it was Acuity. If you remember, we went out and had a third party do a study on it, and they projected we'd save about $2,500 in the first year, and we're $3,200. So, and that's compared to a 3-year average behind. If you look more closely, it's even better, about 18% savings. So the solar array is working. The only problem with solar array is we don't have any storage. So when we overproduce electricity, we have to put it back out on the grid, and you play the net metering game. If we had storage there, then we could essentially be independent because we matched it. We matched the solar array to pretty much meet the demands of the wastewater treatment facility. Storage is going to come down in cost. It's continuing to decline in cost. So the opportunity to put a storage facility in there, a battery in there, where we could keep the extra energy we generate and put less out on the grid would be another cost savings. The other thing about that array is that we have an opportunity to purchase in year 5. So we can buy it, and that would save us money as well in the long term. It's a choice we have. We can make. PPA allows it in year 5. Okay. These are the rates. They just changed. So these are the rates per kilowatt hour. And this is where we begin to offer more choice to consumers. So there's a number of rates here. You can see there's a basic granite rate of 10.9, plus is 11, and you can see what's happening is the percentage of renewable content is going up. So the Eversource rate is 12.5. So you can see it's quite a bit below that. And the old Eversource rate is actually in this range here. So there's an opportunity for people to opt for a higher percentage of renewable. One argument is being made in a promotional sense, keep your costs flat compared to the year prior and go with 100% renewable, and that's good for the planet. So I heard that argument today on the call that we were on. But consumers have their own opportunity to choose whichever one they want. But those are the current rates. And yeah.
Paul, could you repeat that for me?
Yes.
Please?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So the Eversource rate until just recently was in this range, 15 cents. So an argument I heard today on the call was, hey, here's an opportunity to encourage people to go with 100% renewable and not increase their rates.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
How do you know that you're actually getting 100% renewable?
You don't, Robbie. I mean,
Yeah.
You don't. The electrons don't care. Remember, the electrons flow downhill. So, they go to the closest load,
Sure.
So those windmills are generating power for this room, that's
so
just how it works.
where, I guess my question would be, where is that extra 4.3 cents a kilowatt going? Is it going to investment into green energy, or?
They're buying that.
They're buying RECs.
They're buying, right.
Yeah.
They're RECs at the moment. They're buying RECs. But what happens, Rob, is if more people begin to choose this, then there's going to be more investment in renewable, and the whole thing gets more cost effective, and the prices go down. That kind of thing. That's really what it is. In the meantime, what they do is they purchase from people who either are green generators like Quebec Hydro, so they'll do a purchase with them, or they'll buy RECs that are on the market to try to get it. To a large extent, this is an economic game at the moment because we don't meter the electrons. And our measurement systems are not really very good at this point. They're getting better again, and particularly for Eversource, they're terrible. I mean, we don't have smart meters. They don't have any plans to give us smart meters. I mean, the whole thing has just been really slow. Liberty Utilities, as you may know, has been more progressive. They offer time-varying rates in the southern part of our state, and they also have a battery program that they're piloting.
I just saw something on that in the Concord area.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we have Eversource. Okay. Go ahead. So I tried to highlight these. I didn't succeed at it. My color coding's a little off. These ones up here are done. We have a committee authorized. This is just a summary of stuff. This is a checklist. So we have the fire committee authorized. We have a joint powers agreement that was approved. We have a business plan that has at least been developed and you have a copy of and to be circulated and reviewed. This one should be partially, I have one meeting that's done, the other one is scheduled. And by the way, I'd love to do more meetings with other groups if you have places you think I should go speak. I was talking to Martha at the library about this, and she suggested maybe I go to the church and speak. Or if any of you have any thoughts about presentations or where I should go talk to people, I'll do it. I just don't know where to go. Communication has started. I wrote an article for the Bristol Buzz. If you haven't read, oh, that's on the solar array. I've got another one coming up on community power that I'll be doing. I've done one already. There is audio annotated presentation on the website now. Warrant article has been created. I should have made that green. Then once all of this is done and the article is passed, then we have to register with the PUC, submit a final aggregation plan, and mail notification. So it's not immediate. There is a period of time after we pass a town meeting where we've got to get more done before we go. So that's a quick status of where we are. That's really all I wanted to do, is give you an update and until you have a plan, you can take a look at it. I customized it for our town. A lot of it's boilerplate that came from Community Powers New Hampshire. So I don't profess to know everything about it and all the details. I was in the net metering section today looking around and studying that pretty hard. Group net metering and solar net metering is getting a little complicated in general. As you know, that's changed. So now net metering went from 1.0 to 2.0. The reason for this is that when net metering first came out, they were giving solar consumers, people who put up solar arrays, credit for the whole component, all of it. They were not just generation, but also distribution and transmission. Mm-hmm. So if I was paying Eversource, in this case, I'll use them, 15 cents a kilowatt hour that included everything, and I put a kilowatt hour back out, I got 15 cents for it.
Right.
And the utilities went, hey, wait a minute, transmission, distribution, so 2.0 breaks that out a little bit more. It isn't quite as generous to the solar array owner.
Because it's 12 cents.
Yeah, it goes down a little bit.
That seems fair, actually.
Yeah, it does. I mean, proportioning it seems fair. There are some who argue that it should be the retail rate, or a wholesale rate. It should be whatever the generators charge, and that's not right either. So there's this debate going on in the legislature right now. You probably are aware of this, Carol, where net metering is under some discussion, but we generally think it'll probably stay the same. This sort of, but the PUC hasn't ruled on that, and they won't until I think March.
Paul, do you know offhand if the city of Dover ended up joining? Just curious. I know there was an article about a year ago where they had said we're going to hold off for a year.
There is a bunch of towns joining, and there's a call tomorrow with initiation for potential new members. I'm going to join, and it's getting quite a bit of traction in the state. I think it could be a positive thing. It is not the only solution for power aggregation. They did join?
Yeah, it says the following entities are part of the joint power agreement, and the city of Dover is listed.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thanks, Paul, for all this time on this.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Great work.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing for us.
You were about to say it may not be the only option?
That's right. I mean, there are other power brokers that do sell community power. For example, Freedom is an organization that also supplies this kind of power aggregation thing, but some towns are opting for Freedom.
Freedom, they've contacted us, and I can't remember the last.
And I've spoken to them about it as well.
Logistics or something.
The difference with them, from my opinion, this is my personal perspective, having looked at all of this, they're a broker and they're all about price and not about really services. So some towns are doing it just on a price basis. What I think is more interesting is opportunity for services, such as storage and time varying rates, and possibly adding that with your solar array and coming up with a way to really save money. That solution, solar plus battery plus time varying rates, is a winner. That's a winner. That can reduce cost of energy for us tremendously as individuals in our homes. And it's part of this energy justice initiative where it's not just about us, but people who are, they call it energy poverty, where the cost of energy is a very high percentage of someone's income. But if they live in a place where they can use group net metering, a solar array that's close by, together with storage and time varying rates, the cost can go down quite a bit. And so there's a big focus on it. In fact, the group net metering right now for solar has a low income booster on it. And we do have a private individual in the town who has a large piece of property near Hall Road that is interested in using it for solar. So one of the things we're considering is there an opportunity to put a solar array up and provide low cost group net metering for low income people in the town of Bristol. Now, the program's tight. You've got to be, your economic income has to be greater than 200%, but less than 300%, and has to be all Eversource, and there's a bunch of stipulations. Proposals are due tomorrow, so I wasn't able to get the first round in. But that kind of thing is going to occur and continue to occur, where a private individual can put a solar array up, set up group net metering, and it's allowed today, where we can participate in that economic advantage even though we're not connected by wires. It's an economic advantage, you know? And there are credits given on our bill for the generation of the power coming out of a solar array. This is an interesting idea. This is a positive thing. It's renewable energy, and it's low cost, and it can help people, in this case, low moderate income. Call it LMI, low to moderate income. I think the numbers are 200% of federal, but not greater than 300% of federal poverty level. So these are the kinds of things that I see as an opportunity for us to. The other piece of this is, by the way, we live in a rather unique geographic location. I've told you this before. We have renewables all around us. We've got 2 hydro plants sitting out here that we could take advantage of. We have wind over here. We have biomass over there. If you draw a line around Bristol, we have a lot of renewable right in our region. And we have electrical.
In a very complicated, law system that doesn't allow us to access any of it.
Well, that's true.
The net metering we weren't allowed to access, but that's apparently been changed and they're approaching us again about it.
It's evolving.
Yeah.
It's
It's evolving. And our opportunity to influence it as individuals, as people, part of the reason I want to work with these other towns. What I'm finding is, and you're in the legislature, what I'm finding is when the towns show up and speak, it has much more gravity than if, for example, a lobbyist comes in. Clean Energy New Hampshire comes in and says something to them, well, you know, they're being paid to say that. But if a town shows up, or a select board, you know, on behalf of the select board, or something like that, it has more weight. So part of the role I'm trying to play is to work with other towns so that we can have a single voice about our energy future and not just go at it all individually. Community power helps us do that because we're all members. Each member has one person. It's not like Lebanon has 10 people because their population is higher. They have 1. Bristol has 1. So we're equal with the bigger town with respect to representation on the member committee. And we have the opportunity to influence, I think, more than certainly we would with Eversource or any of the others. So that's my take on it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.
Paul, as an aside, low-key solar, does that ring a bell with you?
Low key?
L-O-K-I?
No, it doesn't.
Nothing to do with that. Thank you. Didn't know if you'd run across the name.
No, I don't know them, but I am interested in all matter of solar, so, I mean, I don't have solar in my home either, I'd like to get it.
They're talking to landowners in Bristol about potential solar arrays.
Yeah, I mean, we did very well with the PPA at wastewater treatment. That has worked out. It is saving us money, it all worked out. But it's kind of buyer beware. You have to really kind of look at these individually and
Yeah.
make sure that, you know. And I haven't yet had a chance to really work with the schools here. I've struggled to engage with our school community here. We've got, sitting down there in a beautiful position for solar at our high school.
Yeah.
And we have no solar there at all, and I don't think any plans for solar. As far as I can tell, there's not much appetite for it. I don't know why. Part of it is time. I haven't had time to pursue it, but the school system, I think, here could benefit from.
The hurdle is always how do you pay for it initially?
Right.
Well, we did a PPA and it was no capital up front, so
Yeah.
you know there are ways to do it.
Yeah.
All right, very good, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Or evening.
Loki Solar out of Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
A couple of young entrepreneurs.
Yeah, but some of the stuff going around has Fergus Cullen's name on it, and he's like Republican, used to be chair of the Republican committee.
Yep.
New Hampshire's Dover City Councilor. I don't know if it's the same, but how many Fergus Cullens can
Yeah, it sounds
there
familiar.
be? Okay, just curious. All right, next item is the sewer waiver request. Sorry.
So Jeff wasn't able to be here this
Yep.
evening, but if you wanted to look at so the rules have changed with DES. Apparently they haven't changed, apparently they've been on the books for years, however, DES has decided they want to enforce them now. So there are gonna be some things coming down that are going to affect the wastewater treatment plant, and the employees and how to staff it going forward. So it is an RSA, the state is saying that we can apply for a waiver, but Jeff would like to try to submit a waiver request in, because if we don't put something in saying that we have a problem with the statute, then we're not voicing our opinion. So what's happening is the town of Bristol employs 2 grade 2 wastewater certified operators along with a grade 1 wastewater certified operator. They can be called upon during the weekend and holiday station checks if a concern arises. We also employ grade 2 water distribution and treatment, and they also are thrown into the rotation. The current water certified employees are more than capable of performing the required weekend, holiday, pH, and C12 analysis, whatever those are. And
Where,
I'm reading on the waiver, so what's,
that's chlorine, Cl2, that's chlorine.
oh, it says CL, I was reading
It
too
looks
far
like
away.
C12, but it's Cl2.
CL2, yeah.
2 is supposed to be smaller.
So what's happening is the wastewater operators that are doing these weekend call shifts are now being told that they cannot, because they are not certified, on the sewer side, the wastewater side, they cannot do the checks. So right now, Jeff or the other certified employees have to come in and look over their shoulders, so we have 2 people that have to come in to do these station checks, with the rule that's come out from DES.
So Jeff is asking us to sign,
Well,
basically
he's just
signing a
asking if
complaint.
you're okay that we go forward with asking for the waiver.
Yeah.
It would, he's willing to sign it, but he wanted to make sure that you saw this and that you were willing to, he would like to have more of an in-depth conversation, because it is going to require some changes at the water treatment plant. Because they don't, you're gonna have to, it's gonna be, increase the budget, you're gonna have more people on if we aren't able to get a waiver from this. Or we're gonna have to certify all of our water treatment people in
On
waste.
the wastewater side too. Yeah.
We're classified as a grade 2 plant, if I remember, right?
Yes.
It's not a grade 3, it's a grade 2.
I think we're grade 2, it says
Yeah.
Yeah, so
grade 2.
And they're saying anybody that's there in the weekend should be a grade 2.
Yep,
And a wastewater treatment plant operator, not a water operator.
correct.
The pH is simple, and the chlorine test is probably a colorimetric test. That's you
They've
like
been,
testing your pool.
Yeah.
they've been doing it all along, and now they're being told, no, We can't do that anymore. So, that Jeff has had to come in on shifts, so has, I believe, Ken, I think it's Ken. So had to come in just to look over the shoulder of the other people at the plant to make sure. Because it sounds like, and the thing with this that bothers me, it's, okay, great, we're having a hard enough time filling these positions, and now you're making it even harder, because they can't do it if they're not certified. They can't. They have to be certified up to grade 2, you were reading, so. So if you're okay with it, we're gonna submit the waiver request. Most likely the waiver request will get denied. I'm hoping the more people that do something like this though,
Right.
that maybe it'll get DES to reevaluate their rules. So. Jeff would like to also talk a little bit further about this with you, but unfortunately he couldn't be here tonight, so.
Yeah.
We don't need to vote on that.
No. Not just consensus, if we're okay with it.
You don't have to sign, you don't have to vote, just consensus, yep.
Okay.
Those DEs guys.
Not doing your job if you're not making regulations. If you're a regulator.
They used to be called the reg head, that's what so there were the operations folks.
Yeah.
Which are the green hats, and then there was the compliance folks, we were the black hats, and they called us the reg heads. Which was probably accurate.
It looked like you had something to say.
No.
No, okay.
He always says it.
Yeah.
Just say.
Oh, so something we didn't want to hear about.
Okay, so we are down to the town administrators report.
Well, one more.
Yeah.
The 2023.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Maybe I should put my glasses on. To read it. Okay.
So
Encumbrance.
we talked about this when we did the encumbrances, that we may not need it. I did re-listen to the motion and we didn't elaborate that we would withdraw this if we didn't need it. So I just wanted to have you motion to withdraw the 2023 encumbrance for water and sewer.
Because the bill came in.
The bill came
dated.
in, we paid it, we
Yeah.
don't need to encumber it anymore. We don't have the money in the lines to encumber it anymore, and I just wanna make sure you withdraw the motion.
Make a motion to withdraw the water and sewer. To withdraw the encumbrance for electrical installations in a total amount of $7,550 for the water and sewer department.
Is there a second? Second by Carol. Any further discussion? Question? Yep,
For the recording, that was Rod that made the motion.
thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That is unanimous.
Excuse me.
Now we are down to the TA report.
It's official, hand-drawn lines. Okay, town administrators report.
I start off with employee and department updates. Under the assessing and land use department, I just want to keep sharing this until I hopefully can get people interested in serving in these positions. But the Pemigewasset River Local Advisory Committee still has 2 open positions. Anyone interested in the Rivers Management and Protection Program is asked to serve on the PERLAC committee, we call it. We're allowed 3 representatives and there's only 1 representative currently. So any interested candidates should reach out to me. Seasonal camper letter, in an attempt to, and that is in your folders, but in an attempt to limit the number of abatement requests we keep getting from the campground, assessing will be sending out a letter to current Davidson's campground owners, and that letter is located under the TAALU1. Trying something different to make it easier. If I code them correctly though, that would help. So the letter pretty much just says your current campground owner, if your camper is registered, then you need to provide us a copy If you remove your camper, you're still responsible for the taxes. Because we get a lot of people who say they removed their camper in October. Well, you are still responsible. We can't stop that tax bill from going out. So we're hoping that will get people to understand a little more. The next thing the assessing department is also doing, done is a frequently asked questions. Again, they're trying to answer questions that the public may have on their tax bill, changes in the taxes or the tax rate. They created the frequently asked questions. It's on the website and it's in your packets under ALU2. Next is the equalization ratio.
Yes.
Yes. So we received the notification letter of the final ratio for 2023. It has dropped further. For 2022, we were at 57.6%. The good news is it didn't drop as much as it has been dropping. It dropped to 54.2%, which means we are extremely underassessed.
So tell us what that means in terms of your tax bill.
So it doesn't affect your tax bill currently, but we should be prepared that we're doing a reevaluation next year townwide. It will affect your values. I can't say where the tax bill will go because usually when values go up, your tax rates come down.
Right,
But
what is the equalization ratio and why is it important?
so the equalization, we go by the median. There are a couple of different numbers that the state issues to us, but the median ratio is used for assessment purposes. So what the ratio means is where you are at the market value in relation to the market. The town wants to be as close as possible to 100% because that means that's where you're at. Your values are at market value. So you're supposed to stay normally 10%. You can't go below 10% under or 10% above. The whole state right now is dealing with this. This isn't just a Bristol. This isn't unique to Bristol, but this shows that we are currently almost 50% under assessed.
So if your house is assessed at $200,000, it should really be assessed at $300,000. Ballpark.
Ballpark.
Yeah.
Ballpark. And we thought
But that wouldn't, like you said, that wouldn't mean that your taxes would increase by 50% because the rate would go down. Because you're still raising the same amount of money, plus or minus based on the budget.
And it varies too. There are certain districts that are probably going to be more than other districts. Rural district, and I don't know because I haven't looked at all of the numbers yet, but I'm just throwing, please don't take these numbers as specific, but rural district could be, only a 30% difference where downtown commercial could be the 50% difference. I mean, so it varies in each district right now as well. So, but average for the town is right now is 54.2%. We've talked to the assessing firm and we're doing the reval next year. They're not recommending to speed it up, neither are we at this point. We've hoped every year that it's continued to go down, that the market would stabilize, and we still haven't seen that stabilization happen. It slowed a little, but the values are still staying up there. So one thing she pointed out, and her memo is in your packets as well, which we'd already talked about this before, and we're already doing some research on it, was that our values have continued to go up, but we haven't touched the elderly exemptions, the disabled exemptions. We haven't adjusted those. So we are doing the research already, so we'll be prepared for next year. We probably unfortunately, we won't get it in for next year. It wouldn't hit till the 2026, which is after the values. But we would try to get something onto the warrant for the following year.
Did we do that? Yes.
We talked about it.
We talked about it. We haven't adjusted rates. I can tell you when we adjusted them last, if they haven't changed the Excel sheet since I left downstairs. We haven't adjusted the rates for a while. We even adjusted how much the exemption is. We also have not adjusted
but we did
the asset limits.
We did
the veterans.
The veterans, that's right. yeah.
Yeah, and that'll be when we talk a little bit later,
Yeah.
I'll show you the warrant article and explain something about that as well, but we are attempting to do the veterans this year, but we haven't touched the elderly.
In
In
quite some time.
2007 is off the top of my head, I'd
Okay.
have to check. But I've already got Joanne working on comparables to other towns, looking at other things and seeing where we might need to go, so.
Okay. Okay.
So our recommendation is not to move the reval up, it is next year. But I just wanted to, and it isn't specific to Bristol, it's the whole state, so.
And we know that because historically, if we got to 85%, the state would make us
They
do it.
could, yeah, they could. Would they if they knew you were doing a reval next year? Probably not, but if we were this far off, last year we were 57%.
Right, they would have
They probably
required
would have
that.
come in and said there's a problem.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
And you need to do something about it, so.
Okay.
And so we did do something about it. We were set to do our reval in 2021 and we moved it up a year.
Mhm.
And we would have been even worse than this if we hadn't moved it up a
Right.
year, so.
Right.
Potentially, but
Yeah.
other people had moved it up and other people had moved it up like we did. Some stayed and did it in 2021 and they're still in the same boat, so.
Okay. All right.
So. The only other thing, we haven't gotten the letter yet, but usually your ratio also affects what your debt, the limits can be on your debt.
Yeah.
So that letter won't come out right away, but once we get that, we'll know if we have any concerns with that as well, so. Executive department. Elections and town meeting information has been added to the website. I gave you a look at it earlier. Ugh, good grief. So it's added on the homepage. We've pinned it to the top.
Yep.
So these two are pinned to the top all the ways until the public safety building project's done. And then this is 2024 elections and town meeting. It touches, as we get more information, it touches base on the presidential primary, which is next week. It touches on filing for town election. I have to fix that. I think that should be plural. And then these are the open seats for anybody interested in filing. The filing period is January 24th through February 2nd. I won't read down through those, but those are on the website. I think we've also put it in the Buzz and we've also put it, and I think she has to put it in a newspaper article as well, so. Deadline for submitting petition warrant articles is Tuesday, February 26th.
February 6th.
Why can't I talk tonight? February 6th, and then it's by 5 p.m. They do stay open until 5 p.m. to accept the petitions that night. And this just explains a little bit more about 25 or more registered voters may petition the governing body, which is the select board, to put it on as a warrant article, depending on what they want to do, so. This does not include petition zoning amendments. That deadline has passed, so we wouldn't be able to accept those at this point. Town elections is Tuesday, March 12th. Voting and zoning amendments, they will be done at town elections by ballot vote that day. And I didn't put where yet because I wasn't sure. I do believe it's probably going to be, it's still town hall, but. And then town meeting is Saturday, March 16th, and that is at the Newfound Regional High School auditorium beginning at 9 a.m. I did link some of the stuff like that, about absent. Lovely. I'll fix that. I did link. I'll fix it. So it worked last night. I tried to link information about absentee voters and voter registration, so I'll make sure I fix that too.
Okay. And if anyone has any questions about any of that, they can call they can call Rayma at the town clerk.
And we will also add like the warrant articles once we're closer to finalizing them. We'll add more information about them as well.
Okay. Great.
And the budget, of course, once that's ready, everything will be up there. So.
Ready? All right.
If there's anything else you think needs to be on there, please let me know, and we'll get that added, and then we'll go from here.
Good, nice work.
So, warrant article review. I didn't print this document, shoot. Under TAEX1 are my warrant article review notes. I'll pull the warrant article up here. Maybe. Really, there's not so huge changes. I have a couple changes I wanted to point out. I've added the officers here.
Yeah.
And all the zoning amendments were already in there. I haven't done anything with the budget number yet. I figured we would do that when the budget committee was closer. Article 10 is the contingency. There's no change to that. But if you look at the PDF document in your folder, Carol Brown, it does have an estimate on cents. I will double check those, but it tells you approximately how much that would be. If in a vacuum, how much that would be. So, Article 11, wrong mouse, is the $25,000 the patriotic recreation. That is regarding the fireworks, so we do have to have a little bit of a conversation tonight on the fireworks. I did, they're sending me a contract. I've got the date booked for July 6th for the rain date of July 7th, so Saturday and Sunday. Minimum show with a barge, they provide the barge, they provide the boat, is $16,000. They use the same barge for the Center Harbor show, and it's set up for a $21,000 show on the Center Harbor show. When I asked them, could we increase the minimum, if that's what we wanted to do, we can go anywhere between 16 and 21,000 if you wanted to consider that. I don't know what that means yet, but because I haven't seen the contract yet. They did reach out to me, and they sent me a map of the lake asking me, is this the approximate location? And I said, I think so, it looks spot on. And that's in your folders too if you wanted to look at it. But so we can increase it anywhere between 16 and 21, or just leave it at the 16. They provide the boat, they provide all the permitting, they do all of that. I did add in the note the other costs that we paid in 2023 included, we had the LED light show performer, we had music, and we had to pay for extra portable restrooms, and we paid for the food for the employees for the night. We think that's a good gesture to do because we make them come for the most part. But, so the total cost of that just from last year was roughly about $1,400. So if we wanted to add more, then I don't know, it depends on what we want to add. We can certainly do more.
Center Harbor beat us out.
Yeah. So there's, my questions were, do you want to leave the minimum and reduce the article to $20,000, which would be 16 for the show, and then 4,000, which would allow us to still do what we're doing and possibly add some things? Or do you want to leave it at 25 and bump the show up?
So you don't know the difference compared to what we normally do for the show?
This is going to be bigger than what we
Class
normally
B
do.
versus Class C.
Which I don't have an issue with
Yeah.
as far as the show goes, it's been pretty.
Did they mention length of time?
I haven't gotten the contract yet, so no. So I don't know for sure yet.
I think ours were
They
20
do
minutes.
provide what?
I think ours were about 20 minutes.
Yeah, and we had to do a mixture of B and C. Theirs are strictly B,
Yeah.
which is higher
That's
up,
what people want.
bigger
Yeah.
rooms.
So,
And we don't have to do the barge, and we don't have to have a
Oh,
boat
it's
tow
so
it out.
much better.
We don't have to do that at all.
So-
We just have to have marine patrol out there, the fire boats out
We
there,
don't
which
have
is
the
all.
barges sitting at the fire dock for the rest of the summer.
Anyway.
Yes, and we can discuss if this, I don't wanna sell them yet, but we can discuss getting rid of ours.
Right.
if this works out well, so.
So when we have our barges out on the lake, we're paying our town employees to get them out there?
We had to
No.
rent a boat. I tell you, we had to rent a boat.
Right, so there's associated
there's-
costs with,
Yes.
There was more. I can tell you what those costs are, because we did have it for 2023. Is this the right? Yep, okay. So for 2023, we paid, so we ended up paying more than we thought, because we also had to pay somebody to move the barges at the end of the year. So $2,400 total.
on top of the 14.
On top of the 1,400, yeah. We paid 6,000 for the show because it was a mixed show. And then, so altogether, we paid $10,400 for what we got last year.
So we're looking at just an increase of just under 5,000?
Well, about 6. Our shows in the past were $12,000 though. No, 10,000 for the fireworks, and then we had 12,000 total for the budget. So so last year was lower because we stayed with the same contractor. He lowered the rate because he couldn't do.
Right.
Last year he couldn't do any bees, that's right, so
Right.
he lowered the rate.
Right.
So we paid 10,400 for all Cs on the lake.
Plus the two,
Yeah, and the year
plus
before.
the 2,400.
No, that included the 2,400 last year. But the year before, we paid roughly 14,000, I think, or somewhere around there. Do you remember, Les? The year before, it was somewhere.
Yeah,
I think we paid roughly 14 because we used some of the reserve money, which included those were a mixture of B and C's at the time. Most
year 2.
year 2, yeah. And we did more. We tried to do more show, so.
I think personally, I mean, people weigh in, but I think personally a good compromise is 20 grand with $2,000 budgeted for expenses. And you could bump the show to 18. And that gives something, we take a little off and the warrant.
Will 2,000 cover all of our expenses? If we do a performer and.
If our performer doesn't increase his rate.
It's pretty cheap now.
And we could do something different for food, I'm sure. And then, if we could do something
You don't have to go to 18,
No,
I'm just
but
thinking that gives you the opportunity.
maybe we don't do,
Increase a little bit.
we do different things for entertainment instead.
But I wouldn't go below, I wouldn't bring that number below 20.
Well, we do have, I don't know how much is in the reserve.
Patriotic fund.
Yeah, not the reserve, the capital reserve that, we do have some money. I don't have the exact number.
I think 20 is more palatable than 25.
Yeah, I
To
mean,
go
it's
from what we
something.
started at.
Well, right, because we're not gonna pay for some of the ancillary pieces, getting our own barge
Right.
and renting a boat for it.
I mean, it looks like we have about 1,300, so if we wanted to do a little extra in the show, we could certainly use some of the reserve, so we could do that. So roughly 20, move
For
it
the
up to
warrant article,
18
That's my.
for the show.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I'll agree with that.
Oops.
I mean, we didn't have a lot of complaints about the show last year, even though it was
Well, we
lesser.
prepared them. We put
Right, we did
advertising out.
really put it out there.
We
that this
really
is
put
not
it out.
Gonna
Yeah.
be.
We did, yeah.
We tried really hard to make sure everybody knew this isn't going to be a big,
So I
the
think-
big in the sky show.
How have they been to communicate with?
I had to call them back. I called them back this week, but they followed through and today and sent me, so,
I was a little nervous because I tried them a few times and then never heard back. So it was a
Well,
little
we did
nervous.
say that, right?
Yes, we are, so they did save the date for us, we haven't gotten the contract yet, but they did save the date. And they said the other thing, they said they'd work with us, as I said, I can't cut you anything until after town meeting, you're gonna have to wait.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we do that with other towns.
Yeah.
So they would write that into the contract, so we were out, nothing wrong with our other person, but I'd get the call January 1st, I'm like, I can't pay you.
Right.
Right. I need the money, I'm like, I know you do, but I can't pay you.
No, how this works.
So, so they understood that, they were really good on the phone to talk to, when I called back, they said they were just talking about me. And then they did follow through with the email today.
Yeah, no, they were, once I got them on the
Yeah.
phone, they were great, it was just trying
Yeah.
to get a hold of somebody was a little difficult at first, but it's
I
probably
like-
their off-season too, so.
I love the whole idea, they barge, boat,
Yeah.
they do it all,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
It takes a
Yeah,
lot
I-
off of us, so.
I didn't see the show, but I saw them set up somewhere else this summer, and it looked very professional, like the barges and everything are brand new. So, yeah, I mean, I think I know a couple of the guys that do the actual shows, that do the lighting, and they're all firefighter, either retired firefighters or guys that are still on the job, so it's,
Yeah.
it's not some fly-by-night outfit,
No.
so.
Okay, Article 12 is the parsonage parking lot project. The only change on this is the wording. I added, when I went back and reread it again, I realized we were only talking about purchasing it, and I'm like, nope, that's not the purchase price.
Yeah.
Right.
So I added in, said amount includes purchase, demolition, and limited landscaping and parking lot repairs. Property may be used for the future expansion of downtown parking. So that sentence was already there, I just added the one about said amount.
Okay.
I haven't reviewed this by the DRA yet, but I wanted to make sure you're okay with that.
Okay.
And it also, I have, Mike Vignali is working on preliminary review with the National Historic Preservation. I was a little concerned, so we have him starting that. Because I'd rather be able to answer those questions, hopefully at town meeting, if we can get that started. So he's doing what's called a preliminary review on the project with them. I am also scheduled to present to the HDC in February, which I may have to reschedule because I'll explain that later.
Okay.
But I'm right now trying to get to an HDC to get their buy-in as well.
Yeah.
And then, I'm gonna I'm gonna post the plan, I'm gonna post the estimate on the warrant article, the page with the voting, so
Yeah.
people can see what we're doing. Here's where I've suggested a couple changes, and I'm trying to find some places.
Mm-hmm.
This started at 435, it's not a huge change. The accrued wages, the last one that you looked at was 35. I did look at, I know that we have a few important retirements potentially coming up, but I estimated, what those might cost, and the accrued wages fund could cover those, but we don't wanna deplete it.
Right.
So I reduced it by 10,000.
Okay.
And then assessment capital reserve, I talked to Joanne today, and we've been paying every year a little bit on the revow. They go out and do a quarter of the town every year, so I've reduced that by 10,000 as well. We have about right around 50,000 in the reserve, so if we put that in, even if the amount goes up a little bit next year, we won't deplete that.
Okay.
So I did adjust that, if you agree.
Good.
I also adjusted the town building maintenance capital reserve by 10,000. Again, I'm just trying to find some places that we can save a little if we can. So we have about 50 in the reserve right now. Granted, that number is gonna come down a little bit because I haven't requested some of the money that I need to, but I don't think it's going to hurt. The biggest concern was that we wanted to make sure we could get the move done. And I think we can get the move done and still have a little bit put away for anything that might come up. But I can put it back to 40 if we were concerned. I just wanted I was looking for places to save, so.
I can appreciate that. As well as probably Les, who has to present it to the board, the budget committee.
They'll be happy to see that.
Yeah, certainly.
The other numbers are strictly from the CIP, which
Yeah.
is the fire. The police, I don't think we can change. The vehicles costs have gone up, and that account is depleted. There's only like $9,000 left in it. We could potentially do something with fire equipment because but if we do that, when time comes, we're just not gonna have money to get something. But could this year be a year that we adjusted it a little potentially? I'd leave that up to you. And then again, the highway equipment capital reserve, that's not gonna pay for a vehicle, that amount there. We found that out, it's gonna be what, 200,000, which we have some in the reserve, so we'll be able to get the vehicle that we need, but.
What was the new ambulance cost, Rob?
You're looking at $300,000 plus.
Yeah, we ordered it, it was 325,000, wasn't it, just for the order? That doesn't count.
Yeah, just the ambulance itself is gonna be $200,000 to
Yeah.
$300,000. Then you gotta talk about putting a new stretcher in it, which is gonna be $35,000 to $40,000.
Yeah,
And then the other equipment, a new monitor, defibrillator is $40,000 to $50,000. Another, so I mean, we should be looking at, if to do it right, you're looking at $300,000 to $350,000. And then when you go down the road, engine two's got to be replaced in the next probably 5 to 8 years at the most, and you're looking at least a $750,000 nut on that.
yeah.
Well, engine 2, it says 2031, 900,000.
Yeah, it won't make it there. Those I've been saying all along, those numbers are so skewed that, you can get. Says the ladder truck's supposed to be replaced in 25 years.
Yeah.
The ladder truck's not gonna need to be replaced in 25 years.
Yeah.
That, you should be able to get 35 years out of that truck, because it doesn't run all the time. It's,
Okay. Thanks, that's valuable information.
So if you're good with the adjustments I did, we'll leave those and
Yeah.
go on, but, wrong screen. Article 14 is the veterans credit.
Yeah. Okay, I thought, that's right.
You just have a parenthesis in there after the 750.
Oh, yeah, I copied it from the DRA. I'll fix that. So you'll notice that there's only one.
Yeah.
When we talked about it the last meeting, I did let you know that there are 2 credits that normally have to be the same. When I was reading the articles on the Department of Revenue, where I have to enter these in, we had just last year done the re-adopt for you had to re-adopt all veterans and the
Yes.
veterans because
Yeah.
of the law change. Well, with the re-adopt, it's automatically says that whatever your state veterans credit is,
They're
automatically
They're
applies.
pinned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Good.
did confirm that with the DRA, so we only need the one article, but both will change.
Good.
So if this passes, they'll both go up to the 750,
Okay.
so.
And is that the ceiling on those?
The veterans, that's the ceiling, but
Yeah.
it's not the ceiling on the total and permanent disabled, we didn't touch that part. That ceiling, when we looked at the RSA, it goes up to 4,000, and I don't think we were ready to go there
yeah, I
yet.
accidentally signed on your line.
Okay.
So we provide 1,700.
Yeah.
Plus the 500, whatever this will be. So right now, if someone applies and they're totally permanently disabled, then they get the $2,200 off of their taxes, so.
Okay.
Not with all veterans, only with all veterans doesn't qualify for total and permanent.
Right.
They only qualify for the 500 we currently offer.
Okay.
The Article 15 is the community power article. I'm gonna email that to Paul, and just have him take a look at it.
Yep.
I didn't know he was drafting it, so, and then Article 16, obviously any other business. I had put these 2 dates in here because I was concerned that we might have to sign this, but I realized we won't, so we don't have to vote on this until February 1st, roughly. So I will fix that. So we don't have to vote on it in a special meeting, but we can wait till the next meeting, is what I meant to say, so.
Is that required language, that sentence?
It's always been in the warrant, so I don't know. I just copied, every year has always had that wording.
All right.
So. But, I think that gets us almost ready to vote on them, so.
All right.
I will do the preliminary review with the Department of Revenue. The Budget Committee gets their preliminary review on January 30th, and then we will vote on your recommendations February 1st, and then they vote their public hearing. Anything else on warrant articles? Audit 2022, I did email you the draft. It's also in your folders in case you wanted to read some financial audit information. I did meet with MRI. We are still closing the audit. We have still not accepted the draft, but they are working on it. At first glance, they do report that it appears to be good. So that was good for her to say. So. And I think that covers it for now. This is 2022. We have not closed 2022 still because we can't close the year until the audit's done, but because the audit came in so late, we have journal entries that the audit recommends. So this person's doing all of those journal entries and also writing the letter that we need, which is the MD&A. Don't ask me what it stands for, but we have to write it every year apparently. So.
All right.
In your folders also, New Hampshire DES notice of decision on determination of the lake level. They did an investigation on the lake level. I think it was brought up from Hebron. I think Hebron requested that they do this in one other town. So they did an investigation apparently on the lake level. The letter that's in your packets under EX6 it's an extensive letter. It's probably like 15-20 pages long.
13.
It provides lists that what they took into consideration and their findings. Ultimately, the decision is that there is no change in the management control of the outlet of Newfound Lake based upon the 1982 decision and the resulting operating curve. I'm going to share this with the Lake Water Quality Study Group because I thought they might like to take a look at this.
Sure.
And
Should be posted on the
post it on the
website.
website. That's what I was going to ask you.
Because it brought a lot of attention in the
Yeah,
last couple of years.
It's an extensive review, but ultimately they're not changing their practice, so.
We're still in top 5.
What?
I'm gonna put that on my select board notes here. Was there a response to my question?
I don't remember, I don't think so.
I wasn't being funny, I was being serious,
Yeah.
actually.
Sorry, sidebar.
That's good, it's all good.
Reminder, the holiday luncheon is next Friday. The town closures will be the afternoon from 11:30 on. If you look, the flyers under EX7, and then there's a memo of my decision about pay for employees that's under EX8 in case you want to take a look at that. That was my interpretation. I've shared that already, but you can certainly override me. Oh no. Did I not bring it? Oh, I did, thank you. So I'm so done with the personnel manual. So we fixed all the typos, we've got the definitions in that we previously talked about. One of the things that we also previously talked about was eliminating the practice of recalculating what somebody gets for holiday pay every year. Mostly, this is part-time employees, by the way. So if you look at EX9 and page 15 and 16, these are the final change. I just want to let you know the wording that we changed based on our conversation. Page 15 under holidays, prorated calculations are rounded to the nearest hour. That was there, but the next sentence, calculations are based upon the actual approved hours when an employee is hired. If an employee's approved hours change, then a department head must submit an updated PAF, and we tell a PAF is later. So I put that in under holidays, and I also put that in on page 17 under earned time, so that this won't happen. It puts it on the department head, and I'm gonna be meeting with all of the department heads who have part-time employees, and we're gonna draw up PAFs that say, this is what they're hired for hours. If those hours are not being met, the department head needs to work with the employee who's not meeting those hours and determine why, if there's an issue. If the hours are changed in the future, then the department head has to submit a new PAF. And then we won't be recalculating every year from now on. So, are you good with that wording?
What page are you on? It finally opened.
Page
I'm not gonna complain
15.
about my computer
So page
again.
15, the first part is at the bottom of the page, on page 15. See where it says prorated calculations are rounded? Bottom of that big paragraph right here, right about here. This is what was added. I'll make it bigger, Carol.
No, I got it finally. Good.
And it was also added, that same exact sentence on page 17. Right here. At the top of the page.
Thank you. Yep, thank you.
Are you okay with that? I hope
Yes.
so, because I shared it already. We've met with almost every person, every staff member. There's a couple that we haven't been able to meet with, but they've all gotten, this copy has all been sent out to them. Please tell me that you didn't find anything.
No, go
Okay.
This is where it always floods.
Don't listen, you can't listen.
If you are good with it, I just need to, I need a motion and, to make it effective as of January 1st still, and to sign an updated page, and the reason is, because the last time we had you sign, the page was shrunken. So we wanna, since we'll make a nice clean copy, and I'm done. We're not for
So we're never
Till
gonna
the
see
next
this again.
meeting.
I don't wanna see it again, I
I'm
don't
never
want.
gonna see it.
I'll have a motion to
You don't
accept
know.
the changes made to the personnel manual effective January 1st, 2024, and to re-sign the updated signature page.
Second.
Motion by Carol and second by Les. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstentions, that's 5-0.
The only thing you should see now is administrative policies that are referenced from it.
Thank you to everybody that worked on this, because that's
Yes.
a huge job. Word by word, page by page things.
Oh, that
It's
was
a lot
the
of
page,
work.
those are where I made the changes, in
Okay.
case, so,
One signature.
sorry. Just one signature, the sign here, stamp only. Okay.
That's excellent. Nice job.
I'm so glad.
Well, this
How many hours did you
Dan's
put into
on.
that?
We've been working on, we
Started
started,
to, yeah.
I can't even tell you how many hours, because we started, the subcommittee started in January, February. We met every month, and then towards the end, we had to meet more than once a month. And we met with the department heads, and then we reviewed with the attorney, we reviewed with the attorney again. And then we had to make multiple fixes, so fingers crossed. If there's a typo, I don't wanna know.
It says it's 5 public access
What?
Areas, 5 public access areas on Newfound for the public. Would be our 2 beaches would be.
Beavertown.
5 public access areas?
Yeah, it says, there are 5 public access areas on the lake affording the general public the opportunity to utilize the water body. And that's not counting Wallington.
Where does it say that?
Where are you reading
It's
it?
in their
In
report.
that dam report.
Oh,
Yeah, the dime report.
So I wonder if it's not counting,
Oh, yeah, Crater
they
Rock.
can't, they must be counting the Avery Crossing Cummings, not realizing that they're not.
Not general public.
Right,
Yeah.
they have to have permit.
Well, it's a general, it's a very,
Parking
People can
permit,
walk.
they can walk to it.
anybody, right,
Yeah,
It's access.
not just
And
on
the ledges, that's public access.
Right.
yeah. Huh, that's interesting.
Alrighty,
So next ACH transfers, I just wanted to feel the board out about their opinion of this. We are starting to get more and more requests from vendors. The only thing that we do currently, electronic transfers, is payroll related items, because we had to sign up for retirement to be electronic transfers. We've had to enroll in ID.me, we've had to enroll in treasury, so those things are, any payroll related item, we are already doing some of those transfers.
what else would you do?
Vendors are asking,
Vendors?
so
for payment,
so
basically?
instead of checks being mailed out for certain vendors, you do
Direct
have the
deposit.
ability to do it. I know that there's a higher exposure there, we would have to put in some pretty strict guidelines for changing bank numbers, transfer numbers. Because obviously Peterborough was the biggest thing that hit the news when they transferred something. And we've had an exposure, but
Is it in our interest?
without strict guidelines, I'm concerned about it.
Right.
I've talked to finance and they say more and more towns are doing it, but I'm not sure if Bristol's ready to do it yet. Barrington Power is asking that we do this. And so was Hub 66, and I said no to Hub 66.
Yeah.
And that's for their O&M payment that we have to make.
Yeah.
But Barrington Power is a monthly payment, and things are getting confusing, where they have other towns as well. So that's not our problem.
Not our
It's
problem.
not our,
But I wanted to ask you first before we even mention it.
You know, if we get to a point where all our, with our issues are settled as far as security wise, it's gotta go that way eventually, just not yet.
Eventually, not now. Yeah.
No.
And we can certainly start looking at guidelines and rules and regulations to get them started to be ready, but I was concerned with saying anything, so that's why I was talking to you first, so.
Maybe if they have like a payment portal where you go in and enter something manually.
I'm not even sure that I would be comfortable with that.
There's secure
Because
websites.
you know, it's the kind of thing, like, I mean, I pay all my bills online, but, you know, from a security standpoint, you know, is there gonna be two-factor authentication? Who's gonna have the passwords, you know, that's, I think we're open.
Who can
I
change
would
the
say
bank
until it
accounts?
affects our operations, I say let's do
Yeah.
it.
Well, because we just had to change, we aren't accepting anything from employees.
right.
Unless it's hand delivered to the office.
Yeah.
And that's a step backwards, but
But you had to.
you had to,
Yeah.
you only had to, so.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good with that. Department head meetings, I just wanted to let you know that we are going to start doing training sessions 2 to 3 for the year for department heads. I've talked to them about it, I've asked them to come up with some ideas, so at the February meeting, we can come up with a list. My thoughts are things like dealing with, employee issues, team building, those types of things. I'll see what else they might come up with. I've also asked them, I would like one of them to start hosting the meeting, not just hosting it at their facility, but running the
Yeah.
department head meeting.
Yeah.
And some of the jokes came, I'll sign up for that. open, adjourn, like, and then, so we're gonna start going, looking at those options to get them more involved that way. Fire department, nothing new to report right now. I don't really have a public safety building update. Things are going good. Knock on wood. I don't think much has changed since you went to the site visit. They're moving right along. More has.
Electrical.
A lot of
Oh, yeah.
electrical, a lot of the interior partitions going in,
Yeah.
gone in,
See, I haven't,
yeah. We,
Yeah.
you guys went in?
No.
nope,
I did hear that the generator was delivered.
yeah,
I also saw that the
Oh, to see
pole
it.
was being set.
Yeah.
The pole was being set this morning, so,
Yeah, they started on that yesterday.
anything else? Rob?
No, but
The next public safety building committee meeting is next Thursday.
Thursday,
And I will post the minutes from the last meeting, onto the public safety building committee page, so,
yeah, I did speak to the chief the other day, but he's actually out of town this week, so
next week too.
next week too.
It's 2 weeks, I think. I think it's 2 weeks, for his class.
I know he asked me to plot for him when he was gone, so that's a life. He didn't tell me for how long though.
Let me just I don't wanna misquote. Ben is out this week and next week. He comes back on 29th. And so Aaron Heath is in charge in his absence, so.
Okay.
Highway Department, Second Street, Mark has spoken with Colin, I always say his name wrong, Colin Brown. He may have information on what we need in his files. If not, then he would prefer not to do the survey till the spring.
Can't
I
wait.
did ask Mark about it, and it's not causing any issues currently.
Okay.
Parking ordinance, we've had a few vehicles towed from the municipal parking lots this week and last. And in review of the process, we have found that the signs have been removed. Whether normal wear and tear and people just forgot to replace them or something else. So we are ordering replacement signs. We're looking at the just thick plastic ones for now, just to get something out there. And the wording that we've agreed upon is
This is on Central Street?
it's 3 parking lots. It's
Yeah.
Central Street, TD Bank, right in front of TD Bank,
Right.
and the bottom library.
Right, but which one were they removed from?
TD Bank, the library, and Central Street. We took cars from all 3.
Looks like we need some proof hardware.
So the wording,
and the one in the square too.
what, we did in front of TD Bank, we did tow one from there.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
But
right in the
were
square.
the signs removed from all 3 of those?
Oh yeah, there's no signs in any of them. I don't know, we don't know why. I asked and there's none.
Are the posts still there?
I think that they may have been normal wear and tear and no one replaced them, but also I'm not so sure, they may not have been ripped and somebody just took the post
Sure, how
out.
you get wear and tear on the parking signs,
All right,
So the wording we're gonna put out on the new signs is designated.
but the signs aren't the only,
Oh, no.
they're not the only thing that lets people know that, I mean, we've
No.
been proactive with the
I did
owners
go-
and with the renters and
I did go back and check, so October 27th, we sent letters. I did make sure that those had been done. There were letters sent out to all of the property owners. The problem we're having is the property owners aren't telling their tenants.
Yeah.
So, I believe we tried to also make sure they went to tenants. And we are also, we also do not tow them the first time. We try to locate the
So we
owner.
are giving them a warning.
Yes, one of the vehicles that was towed had been there for weeks, never moved. The snow, it was multiple storms, so.
No one that got towed has a legitimate complaint that they didn't know.
It don't,
Do we know that?
I do not know that.
Okay.
I believe that the police department is handling each
Thank
of
you.
the concerns
Okay.
that have come in.
Let's just make sure it's fair to the.
There were some,
Just make sure it's fair.
there was a resident from Bino who have their own parking area that had been in one of the parking lots for weeks and got towed.
Yeah.
I saw this, I can't remember where it was, it's over another town where they have a big orange sticker they smack on the side of it and say, basically, here's your warning, if this is
Yeah.
moved by, or if it's here again.
State police does that when you leave your car on the side of the
Sure,
highway.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we could look into that for the future. If you're good with this wording where this is what we wanna order, and we're gonna order 10 of them and put 2 up in each parking and have some extras in case they disappear. The other, that we have received, people asking, how long do I have to stay out of the parking lot? I can't, if anybody's listening, I can't tell you how long you have to stay out of a parking area. It depends on how many vehicles are blocking that parking lot. I can't tell you until it's been cleaned up.
Depends on, yeah.
You have,
Until it's clean.
all of the other areas, there's no overnight parking during the storm event, and, except for these 3 locations. If it snows all day, you will not, it's after the storm event that you
Yeah.
have to be out of those locations by 8 AM, so.
Okay.
So, fingers crossed, in case you hear anything, I wanted to make sure you were aware, but I think unfortunately, I think there's been 5 vehicles towed, so.
And the camper's gone. The camper.
Oh, they can't, yeah, that's a whole other story. Yes, the camper's gone, but yeah, it did end up at a certain property.
What was the story behind that? Because I didn't hear from anyone.
It was purchased.
Is that property
It
in
was-
Alexandria or Bristol?
It was in Bristol, but it's gone again.
Yeah.
Long story short,
Broke down.
somebody posted it on Facebook Marketplace saying,
For free.
free camper, come get it. And this person drove it, I believe, from
From
Massachusetts
Yeah.
here, and then it broke
In the
down.
snowstorm.
In the
Well,
snowstorm.
I don't know if it broke down or they tried to get home and we were told they live in Alexandria. There was no way they were getting home with that camper during that snowstorm in Alexandria, so, but
Yeah,
that's-
so if you
we're
first
not
thing,
sure.
first place my mind went to was Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's did.
Yeah.
Windows, when
Yeah.
curtains blown out the windows.
All right.
All right, Minot Sleeper Library, they've hired, I did mention that they had done an offer, so the new circulation and cataloging assistant, her name is Fiona Barker. She has experience working in academic library, and we just wanted to welcome her to the team.
Great.
Excellent.
Great.
Police department, nothing new to report. Town clerk, tax collectors, you've already gotten her report on the elections. Water sewer department, nothing new to report right now, because you've already kind of heard some of the things they're dealing with. Events, town events, candy bar bingo is Saturday from 2:30 to 4. The doors open at 2 PM. It's at the TTCC downstairs. I stole your thunder, sorry. The flyer is in your folders if you want to take a look at it. But admission is 3 full-size candy bars per person, and some lucky winners will get sweet treats. And at the end of the night, all the remaining candy. Communications, the newsletters are from the New Hampshire Department of Energy are in your folders. The Executive Counselor District 1 meeting wrap-up is in your folders, and the year-end report from Executive Counselor Kenny is in your folders. That's it.
All right.
Wait, no, I'm kidding.
Having a believing you problem. All right, selectmen items, Les.
Christina stole my thunder.
Okay.
It was candy bar bingo. Oh, also Sunbaker this weekend on Sunday. Is Winter in the Woods from
2 to 4.
Aw,
This Sunday?
Sunday.
I'll be manning the fire pit, so.
Wait, what's up there? I'm sorry, I was reading the candy bar bingo flyer.
It's Winter in the Woods.
Yeah,
So the kids will be sledding, families can come out.
it's Sunday.
Yeah.
Do
2 to 4.
Beautiful, cool.
Yep, I know.
There'll be marshmallows roasting.
Yeah,
Nice.
they have roast.
Can you slide down from the top of the hill?
You
On
can.
the trail.
Well, you don't go too fast down the road? Is it-
You can sled down anything, Rob.
I'm bringing
It's just weird. Now, you know what I'm picturing now? National
Chase,
Lampoon's
yeah.
Oh,
Christmas
sure.
Vacation.
The spray.
The spray with the round sled.
Actually, for years, the sledding location at Slim Baker has been a narrow lane between the trees that was steep, in short, but steep, and ended at the cemetery at the
Now that is,
So we.
no
we-
pun intended.
No, I know. We have tried to come up with alternative. We've got a couple other places that are possible now, depending on snow and stuff like that. But it'll be good. It's always a good time. So, is that it?
It is.
Okay, Carol?
So, this computer still doesn't open PDFs well. I'm struggling at every meeting. I'm behind the curve.
Well, and that's surprising because PDFs are the only thing I can open on all the others.
Just to let you know, it keeps,
All right.
they'll get there eventually. I filled in as the select board rep for the planning board meeting.
Thank you.
Without going into a lot of it, but one of the main topics, they're starting to work on the split zoning issue around town, trying to figure out why initially there was just a 250-foot line drawn right down through the middle of the different properties. And I think they came to the conclusion that they want to fix that and start looking at the individual lots. So they're gonna work on Lake Street and the back of North Main, which is behind the apartments and Keyser Road, that area, because there's a whole bunch of split properties there. And they decided to do a site visit for those that didn't know the areas off the top of their head.
There are no
So that,
apartments on Keyser Road.
on
One going down the hill.
the big apartment building, their property backs up to
Oh,
Main
it's the
Street.
Riverview elderly housing.
Yes, but when you come down, so if you take, like, the straight line goes through that property with the apartment building and goes straight down through some of the lots on Keyser Road.
Okay.
And splits those. Sorry, yeah, I wasn't clear there. So they're gonna do a windshield walkthrough for those that don't know the area. So I think that's a good thing. That was the main thrust of the meeting. It's pretty good, actually. There were no
It was a good discussion.
cases.
Yeah.
I got a
Got another easy one.
That's true, I did have another reason one. And then I filled in for EDC last night. They had enough people for a quorum and had a meeting. The main conversation was about the Pemmy Path and getting some more funding and the requirement for an additional environmental assessment called an EA2, which I think was a phase 2 hydrological, phase 2 environmental assessment. And they're gonna move ahead with trying to find money for that. Christina was gonna do some homework because I believe, the committee believes they have the skill to do a phase 2 site assessment, if that's indeed what it is, and I don't think that that's probably true. That they're gonna have to hire that out, so that they can know how much money they have to go for. The other piece of that Pemmy Path project that they're going to do is start, I suggested to go get money for this, you should be able to say like a business plan. If we have this pathway, it's going to bring this much money into town.
Right.
And then we'll have that number. So, and I get it, because it's a really kind of a subjective,
Nebulous.
it is very nebulous, but they're gonna start going around to the different businesses in town with a questionnaire saying, if this pathway were complete and it brought snowmobiles and whatever, what kind of a percent increase might you guess that would bring to you, so that maybe they can formulate a number. So that was good stuff.
Did they happen to mention a date for the next meeting, or?
No.
No, they did.
I don't think so.
They did.
Or yes, they did.
Hang on. I mixed them up, so I have to look at the
While she's
calendar.
doing that, you might remember that last year, for Barbara's birthday, I happened to bump into the governor. I just sound silly, but at a meeting and said, could you call this person in Bristol? And he did. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Yes.
He called her and had a conversation with her about just,
I bet he did.
he did. So, I'm wondering now, since she's passed, maybe we could get the governor to do some kind of proclamation for the family for her. That
He
just
called
occurred to me. Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's me.
He said to me, he said, that's great, I love doing that stuff, that's easy stuff I like to do.
That's cool.
So maybe we could, I can contact them if you'd like and see if he could
I
do a
think that would be
proclamation
great.
and maybe get in touch with Michelle or the family in some way
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
to present to the, or maybe he could go through Christine and kind of use the town report and do a proclamation to the family. I don't know what you think, but.
I think that anything we can suggest or recommend would be great. Yeah.
Okay, I can see what the person I contacted, what they suggest. The lake water quality study that the Conservation Commission is doing, there was some additional, we thought we were done reviewing everything. There was some additional information came in, and we're gonna review that, one more meeting of reviewing information, and then we should be drafting the report to get it to the select board. Let's say, we'll have to write it and review it ourselves and then get it to the Conservation Commission and it'll come back to the select board. So I think, let's say we could have it done for the summer season. So that's pretty good. I asked Christina to ask Mark if they would put a sand bucket back in the spring, which you probably saw he did it, and it's kind of cool because they took a trash can and turned it upside down so the rain doesn't go in. I just thought it was a brilliant thing. And to follow up on this guy's comment, there was a Facebook string about salt around the lake. You probably saw that, right?
Yeah.
And someone mentioned that the lake has fallen off the list of the top 5 cleanest, and I responded saying, well, seriously, tell me where you saw that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that. And we actually had this conversation in the Lake Water Quality Group with Rebecca and saying, where did that originally come from? And nobody knows. No, I don't know if anybody ever knows where did that, it's the top 5 cleanest lake in the US. Where did that come from?
Right.
And
Top 3.
nobody ever has that answer.
I've heard top 3 cleanest in the world at one point.
Right.
Where's that?
Was it a National Geographic thing? I don't know where that came from. So if anybody happens to know,
And where's the proof that it quote unquote fell off?
and I haven't seen that, and
Yeah.
I just looked on Facebook and I didn't see a response to my post.
No.
I think they turned off the comments. There's been a couple on there that she's turned off the comments.
Okay, and I thought I asked it in a serious fashion. It wasn't.
No, I'm sure.
I've seen a whole 10-wheeler load of salt dumped in that lake once. And it didn't affect,
Why?
Probably
one of the
next.
state trucks rolled over up by Red Fox Village
Oh,
and dumped the whole 15 yard, well, maybe not 15 yards, but at least 10 yards down into the lake.
There's certainly an issue with when there's a lot of salt, your conductivity readings go up when you're doing sampling. And we had that conversation in the Lake Water Quality Study Group, and it probably is much more of an issue for the tributaries and affecting the macroinvertebrates and the wildlife in the area of the small streams. And it's a balance of safety and environment, obviously, right? So that's it. I think we touched on that in our conversation, and I'll try to remember that we can make a comment on it in that final report. That's all I got.
Comments are still open.
Okay.
Yeah, I know the salt it wasn't just around our lake, that was statewide. Like, I drove from Belmont to Newport that day, by the time I got to, I couldn't see my headlights.
It was,
It was-
and it was
they
a
were-
slippery
it was
storm,
kind of-
though. That storm, the beginning part of that storm was, and of course, there was any number of comments on the topic, safety versus environmental.
I
I'd
just-
rather-
14
I'd
cleanest
rather not
lakes.
drive into the lake and et cetera, et cetera, et
I
cetera, which
just
is,
did, sorry.
they're all valid
Sidebar.
points, yeah.
I was gonna say a sidebar, but I just did a Google search. Top 10 cleanest lakes you've seen in this Vacations Made Easy. And number 8 is Newfound Lake.
Well, see,
number
this one has it at number 13, and Winnipesaukee at number 2, and we know,
That's ridiculous.
yeah,
Somebody paid
we know that's wrong.
Well, the Animal Foundation even lists us and Winnipesaukee. That's fine.
Right, so there's all kinds of top 10 lists now that didn't exist back in the day when we first said Newfound was one of the top 5 cleanest ones. I don't know where that came from.
Well, this one is the top 5 clearest.
It depends what they use for data, because
Yeah,
it's
of
different,
course.
right? The depth, that they measure the visual of the disc at depth, or whatever. and-
Right.
My comment was that we've come to expect and require that our roads be dry instead of just clear.
Yes.
Right.
And in a lot of countries, they don't use much salt.
Right.
You have snow tires and you drive.
You accept, it's what it
Right,
is.
and your cars don't rot apart after 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be
Yeah.
fantastic. Let me
Yeah.
go back to that.
And you wouldn't cancel school?
Oh, boy.
I mean,
I was beside myself.
That was another-
Absolutely beside myself. I look outside and I'm like, watching one flake come down and I'm like, you have gotta be kidding.
But the roads didn't, yeah. And then,
Where's that guy from Alaska? Let's get him back.
Oh, John Davis,
John Davis, yeah.
yeah.
That guy would not cancel school
No.
unless there was a foot of snow on the ground to begin
And
with.
if you want, we can take this up in the Conservation Commission as a topic. Can we improve this?
Yeah.
Do we want to change this, and how would we go about it?
when they do low salt areas, is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
a town designation or is it a state designation?
I know the state does some, but I don't know
I think,
if it's
I thought,
only the state.
no, I think the town designation, because Rebecca, NLRA brought it up and recommended that the town look at it for second.
Isn't there a
thought
low
we
salt
had some.
designation
Yeah.
on
No.
Hall Road?
there is somewhere, there's wells around.
I think
I
there's one
remember
on
seeing
Hall
signs
Road.
somewhere.
Anybody?
I think best practices around the town wells.
Or is it the town? Yeah.
We've talked about that before, but did we actually adopt it?
Right, we talked about that with Rebecca because of the large amount of salt in Upper Birch, because they tend to salt the corner when you turn left to go up towards my house, and going up the hill, they
Yeah.
salt that pretty heavy. It's right there where it runs into Blackbird.
Yeah.
So we could certainly bring that as a topic for Conservation Commission to pursue.
All right. Great. Rob?
I'm still looking up to figure out which
Which number were you?
what number Clean Lake we are. Yeah, like, kind of, we talked about public safety committee, or public safety building already. Careful, stole my thunder with EDC. And, yeah, other than that, I've got nothing. I did have one question. When is the deadline for petition warrant articles?
February 6th.
Oh, it's not till February 6th, okay. I was just curious, I didn't know if we,
And have you seen any yet?
have you seen it?
No, but I don't think, I've seen a suggestion for one, and I do believe that won't come in until closer to February 6th. If it comes in, which I do believe it will come in. Well, I don't know if you've seen that. There was a survey or questions on Facebook about, eliminating any fees at the transfer station and having it taxation only. I was asked the question and I said, I don't think you should eliminate the permit requirement.
Yeah.
I think you should leave that. Because we also have funds from Hebron with that, so, but if he was going to go the route of eliminating all fees, he wants to make sure that we do our due diligence and have numbers that, and I'm like, well, if you submit the petition article, we'll do our due diligence. And I left it at that, so.
All right. Okay.
And I think the one that was talked about at the planning board a while ago, he's not doing that.
No, he had to have his,
Yeah.
he had to have it in already.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Scott?
Can't think of anything.
All right. I don't have any.
I don't have anything, hopefully.
All right. Public comment. Do we all look?
I noticed that this seems to be one of those winters where we're gonna get snow and the snow's gonna get rained on and
Yeah.
the little streams become oceans. Well, we had a brook running right down the middle of Beach Street, half the width of the road,
Yeah,
Because the housing authority up there, they have runoffs for the parking lot, which are at the water level. The water rises, backs into the parking lot, comes down the street.
okay. So this is way at the end of
Right at the
Beach?
end.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's plenty deep enough down with the bridge, but right there where the dumpster is, it's right even.
Is it a matter of how they're plowing, or is it a matter of the
Got
way
nothing
that?
to do with plowing.
It's
out
the
of plow
slope.
zone. It was never low enough anyway, and then we get a window like this, and what happens is it backs right into the parking lot, and down it comes.
Okay,
And the drainage can't take care of it, because the drain is plugged up somewhere between the first one this side of the elderly and my house.
okay. This side.
And I know that because when my sump pump comes on, which is into the old drainage system,
Yep,
it comes right out of the ground, just like a geyser. And has for 10 years.
You can check that.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Ooh, what would our recourse be on that?
If there's a plug,
I'm just afraid it'll turn to ice sometime and
Yeah.
somebody will come down around that corner, and that'll be the end of that.
Right.
It's a long ways from there to the.
Yeah.
Well, so
river
it's
down here.
It sounds like there's two issues, a potential clog in the drain system,
That's been that way.
okay, or break somewhere, or blockage, right?
It may be, I don't know.
And so we're clear, there's a grading problem. Obviously, you can't regrade it because it's pavement, but there's a grade problem at the end of the road that forces water where it shouldn't be.
If they were to go in there with a machine and just dig that down,
So that-
well, it would work the way it's supposed to work.
Okay,
And it wouldn't get into the road.
okay. I'd like to go up and take a look, so I,
Due to the fact that that's never been done, they put the runoffs in there,
yeah.
but they're right at water level. The
Oh,
water doesn't have to raise much before it goes that way instead of this way.
right, I gotcha. And if any slush or sleet or something in there, it just
Oh, it
bypasses.
brings everything right on down,
Yeah.
rocks and everything. I know, I had a whole street full.
would this be part of the drainage that Mark is proposing to fix on Beach Street this year?
That's
I
a
don't
good
know,
question.
because I know we put the money in
Yeah.
his
Budget.
project line.
Yeah.
In order to do Beach Street drainage. Some of it had to do with the property where it comes out across the sidewalk, but
Yeah.
The big yellow building, yeah.
yeah, but I believe he's talking, it's more than, I think it was over $10,000, so I don't know.
Okay.
So I can
So
ask.
it sounds like we'll be up there working anyways.
And that one there, I don't know why the town's putting the bill, because the homeowner went in there and dug it out because it never ran across there before.
So, Mark.
I've been there since 1968.
Mark met with the homeowner, and the homeowner did what he was told to do, and, I think that's why what we told him to do, he did.
Yeah.
Because I was there for, that meeting as well. I can double check with Mark on it, but we believe that yes, what he did probably caused an issue, but we don't know.
Yeah.
We already told him what to do, so.
Okay.
And it made it worse, so.
Okay. All right, so it looks like we're gonna be up there. So we can hire you as
Wait
foreman.
until you rain, you'll see it.
Take a ride
I'll
up.
take a run up when it's raining.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Did you have any other questions or comments or
No.
concerns? Great, thank you. Tom? No, all right. We got anything?
Did you hear the answers in the last meeting to your questions about compaction?
No, I didn't get them all. They did some, I understand.
I just pulled, I wanted to make sure you got them, I just lost it. They performed multiple site visits throughout site work and construction phase. They had May 23rd prior to footing and walls, July 27th prior to slab pour, August 15th prior to slab pour of apparatus bay, November 2nd prior to start of retaining wall, and November 6th to confirm correct placement of materials and
gridding for retaining wall. So they did, geotechnical services out of Ware did those.
Okay. Awesome.
And Tom did complain about the website. I am going to, Kay and I are talking about it. We are probably going to have to take this up to the next level.
The intermittent, yeah.
Yeah, our IT company has even stepped in, and this isn't part of their role, and I think I have to go up a level with the Civic Plus company.
Yeah.
Because we're not getting anywhere with the service, with the person we're working with right now.
Okay.
So they keep saying, it's our issue, and we're like, no, it's not our issue, it's your site, because it's not, they use words like DNS server, so I go back to IT and Kate, and Kate goes, that's what they said on day one, and then now they're back to the same thing again on day, so we're gonna try to escalate that and try and get that fixed.
Okay. All right, very good. Any other items? Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I moved.
Second. Moved by Les, seconded by Rob. All those in favor?
At 8:30.
That is unanimous.